Hi, my name is Bob Hiss, and I am your Milton town moderator. A few years ago, I started a show prior to each town meeting where we'd have an opportunity to meet the chair of the Warrant Committee. And that has included George Asher in the past and Dave Humphreys, and now our new Warrant Committee chair, Tom. So we are going to get a chance to go meet him and hear what's going on in the warrant. We're doing this because we have a special town meeting coming up on Monday, February 24, 7:30 p.m. at the high school, where we have 15 different articles to go present. And so the Warrant Committee has gone through and looked at most of these. We have a few they haven't gotten a chance to go look at. And so we'll understand some of the reasons why. But thanks for coming in. Welcome to your first opportunity to go talk to the citizens, and maybe start by introducing yourself a little bit to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob, and thank you very much for having me here. My name is Tom Caldwell. I am a lifelong resident of the town of Milton. I'm married. I live in Precinct 6 on St. Agatha's Road. I have 2 daughters, both of whom attend the Milton Public Schools. I'm an attorney, and I currently work at the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office.
Very good.
I've been a town meeting member, Bob, I want to say about approximately 14 years.
Wow.
And this is my 3rd year on the Warrant Committee. And Bob, as a side note, I'd like to thank you for appointing me to the Warrant Committee several years ago with that honor. And I'd like to thank the members of the committee for electing me chair this year. It is a great honor, and I appreciate it. It's a lot of work, but it's great work. And so thank you. And thank you, Warrant Committee.
Well, very good. So why don't we dive in? This is the copy of the warrant. By the way, it's available a couple ways. There are some printed versions that are up at Town Hall. You can also go to the town website, townofmilton.org, and you can see copies under both the town moderator page and I think also the town clerk page. And as we approach the town meeting, we'll continue to put new content up under the town meeting page, so the citizens can continue to see refreshed content as the Warrant Committee comes up with other recommendations or we get presentations, et cetera. So with 15 articles, why don't we start with article number 1, the $60,000 for the PEG Access Enterprise Fund. What are we talking about?
Yes, so Bob, some of us, I think most people in the town know we've undergone a renovation of our central fire station behind the town hall. It's quite a beautiful building. But what's kind of often forgotten are the other auxiliary buildings that were once housing our fire department.
The historical buildings that are there, right?
Correct,
right.
Directly behind. And for those who haven't gone up and taken a look, I urge you to. They're beautiful buildings now. And the older buildings, the fire station headquarters specifically, was refurbished. And in doing so, a decision was made to construct one rooms for what we're doing here right now, Milton Community Access, allow for various town meetings of the public. And it is a beautiful space. And obviously now, as the chair of the Warrant Committee, I know what a premium meeting space is here in the town, with all our committees and boards meeting multiple times a week. So what this article is asking town meeting is to appropriate approximately $60,000 from our PEG Access Enterprise Fund to the MPEG Access for the purpose of equipping the meeting room, like we see here today in this studio, with the ability to record and broadcast live on Milton Cable Access. So the $60,000 cost would allow for the equipment to be put in there, lights, cameras, internet, and allow us to broadcast Warrant Committee, School Committee, Select Board, other types of meetings, as I previously mentioned. What's important, I think, for town meeting to know is this money does not come from our general budget. We do not borrow the money. It comes from our PEG Access, which is for Public and Educational and Government. That's what PEG stands for. And this money, the town has a PEG Access Fund. And that money is derived from cable subscriptions throughout the town. Comcast and alike pay the town a certain amount of money per
Public contract, I imagine, right?
Correct. Yeah. And this is common throughout the Commonwealth, and the town takes that money and puts it aside in a separate fund to help fund, Milton Cable Access and access to other government-type programs that we have here in the town. So we're asking town meeting to take $60,000 out of the PEG Access Fund and utilize it to equip the room. Now, one thing that the Warrant Committee did discuss at length was the PEG Access Fund itself. And what people should know, and I'm sure people do, is a lot of people are cutting the cable cord.
Right.
And they're going to app-based programming, Fubo, YouTube TV, and stuff like that. And as a result, Comcast and the other cable company, RCN in the town, are not sending us that check every month. So the money coming into the town in the fund is slowly going down. We have a budget right now. It's approximately, I think, $420,000. This 60 would come out of that, but I think it's imperative for the town to know that we're not going to be building this fund up like we have in the past. So I think some point in the future, town meeting, the town and then town meeting may have to address how we're going to be funding Milton cable access television. We're not there yet. I think we still have a little bit of time, but it's something I think we should keep our eye on.
All right, very good. That was clear. Article 2, we start talking about, I think, the first of alcoholic beverages. What's this about?
Correct. So, Bob, this is, I'd like to kind of present it to the Warrant Committee. These are the Articles 2 and 3 are very similar. They concern the regulation and the consumption of alcoholic beverages in the town. And specifically, as to Article 2, this is requesting 5 additional liquor licenses. I know many town meeting members know, but members of the public may not. We need to approach the general court of the legislature to get these licenses. And in the past, and you would see in the warrant, we have a nice table here of
on page 12. Yep.
Correct, on page 12. And it's all the liquor licenses currently issued by the select board for various businesses in the town.
These are the permanent ones they have, right?
Correct. So you have the 88 Wharf, Abbey Park, Steel and Rye, among some of the other restaurants in town. And what this would allow the town to do is we essentially are asking the legislature to grant us 5 licenses so we can have them in hand, as opposed to going back before the legislature through an act of town meeting to propose or to request of the legislature a license to issue.
One at a time. Yeah.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So this is just an action where kind of I think there's some vision in the town that we might attempt, and I think there are a couple of projects in the works that we might be trying to expand our commercial base a little bit by way of maybe another couple of restaurants. And this would allow a lot more freedom to the select board to issue those licenses, with the exception of going through the entire town meeting cycle and waiting. And of course, it's a big question for somebody who's starting a restaurant or a business in town that will be serving alcohol, because you really kind of have to wait, hope for a good vote from town meeting, and also approval by the legislature, which, takes time.
So this makes us a little easier to do business with if you're in that industry.
Correct. And as we know, this is certainly, I remember back when I was a kid, there was one liquor license in town.
You're almost a dry town, right? Yeah.
Correct. The 2 package stores, and I believe the one license to serve liquor, beer, and wine was up at the Milton Hill House. So this certainly, I think, is a good article. I think we're looking to the future of Milton and expanding, hopefully, our commercial base to assist in gaining funds to the levy.
And it's not for retail stores. It would be for restaurants, and probably not a straight-up bar, but a dining establishment is the idea, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this would obviously, this is only on premises consumption, and obviously the article places all of this approval of these individual licenses, if we receive them from the legislature, gives the authority of the select board to issue.
Very good. Okay. But Article 3 is slightly different. It's on town property, right?
Yes. And as the Warrant Committee discussed, and as we noted as to Article 3, this is certainly a major change in the approach to alcohol in public that the town has taken in the past. This essentially is going to, this article, if approved by town meeting, will allow the consumption on all town property currently prohibited the consumption of alcoholic beverages. So this is a change to, I believe, Chapter 105 of our bylaws in the town concerning alcoholic beverages. And it's set forward in the article. We recommend a yes vote on this or approval of this. And this, I think, just to really bear down or to kind of give an example of this, we're frequently having town-wide gatherings on the East Milton deck at Joe Manning Park.
Right.
And I think the purpose of this is to allow a licensed establishment that's certified and approved by the select board to serve alcohol.
So if it's a catered affair, so to speak, they could also serve alcohol then.
Correct. And this would allow, for fundraising, community building, and it would be very limited. Of course, the select board would have authority in terms of who would be granting these licenses. In speaking to town council, which was a major concern of the Warrant Committee, was liability concerning the consumption of alcohol on town property and what would that look like for the town. Town council explained, as we always have in the town, we would make sure the town is indemnified from any wrongdoing. And obviously with the cooperation of the Milton Police Department, we wouldn't expect any issues. But it certainly is a deviation from our historical approach to alcohol in the town. But members of the Warrant Committee were unanimous in our vote asking town meeting to approve it. We discussed various issues, impacts on neighbors. So, but I think when we look at this would not only be like the deck in the town, this could be maybe a get together at the library,
right.
Milton Arts Center.
Right.
And again, I'd like to stress for town meeting, this is something that the select board will have authority over, and working with town council and the town administrator in terms of granting these one-day type licenses. They will be still highly strictly regulated. However, we think that the benefit to the town as a whole would be as positive. Okay. So we are asking that the town approve this article.
Very good. Article 4 is replacing lead line piping, right?
Yes. So this was a matter that came before us. The town engineer presented to us. So this is a federal mandate, Bob, and this still I think some people will remember the stories from several years ago at Flint, Michigan.
Sure.
And I mean, very, very serious situations. We're very fortunate in Milton that we're not looking at something that serious in terms of lead pipes and lead poisoning. But the town, through the federal government, has required all towns now, cities, municipalities, to discover if they have any lead piping and to remove that lead piping. So the MWRA, which we are a member of, is providing a program to assist local towns in this, zero interest loans. And we are intending to apply to this MWA program, and that will allow the town to fund some activities related to the lead services lines. The town engineering department has been working for a few years on this. They've been able to identify the various lead lines in town, what's known, what's unknown. They've done a tremendous amount of work. And we are actually in the process now of doing some of this work. But this appropriation will allow the town engineer to do further digging, additional research into where the lead lines are in town, and then begin the process of slowly removing them. This is really kind of the first step, essentially. We hope that we are admitted to the program, so we get some zero interest loans and funding for this. However, this is required. So the town, frankly, we need to move forward with this, and we expect, there will be future costs associated with this that town meeting will have to consider in the future. But this certainly is a great step. I'd like to stress the great work of the DPW and the engineering department to all the work they've done on this. And this is something really that is a necessary appropriation.
So are we going to borrow the 1.7 regardless of whether we're admitted to the program?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not guaranteed that it's 0%, but if we're admitted, it's 0%. Correct. Is that it? Got it. Otherwise, it would be at normal prevailing rates.
Correct.
Understood. Okay. That's clear. Article 5 looks like it's trying to provide a break for some of our senior citizens on their tax bills. Yes.
Bob, Article 5 was we had a great discussion about this law, and I think what the Warrant Committee learned was obviously the purpose of this, as submitted by the Select Board, was to give seniors in the town, those over the age of 65, who have lived in the town for a significant period of time and paid property taxes and other fees associated with owning a home in the town for many, many years. So here in this specific article, it gives a number of 10 years. But I think the intention is maybe 10 years, but those who have lived maybe 20, 30, 40.
Right.
And obviously on fixed or reduced incomes, pensions, our tax rate at this time is, obviously like every other town and city is going up. And
yet their incomes are not.
And their incomes are not. They're staying the same. So we felt as if, though, people who have made great contributions financially to the town in paying taxes should get a little break. And this, however, this is really a two-step article. And to qualify for this town program, you need to qualify for the state program. And if you qualify under the state program, which is called the circuit breaker, which is income tax reduction for seniors, you can then in turn qualify for the Milton program. And this would be administrated by the Board of Assessors, and they would make the various determinations upon your application after you were admitted into the state program, the circuit breaker.
Understood.
We did go back and forth on this a little bit. There were some other proposed amendments to the language as we see here. Some people were talking about renters and other people who live in town for an extended period of time. In our research and discussions with other officials in the town, we found that that was something that we would be unable to track in terms of renters. But certainly we had a good discussion about it. And for the seniors, obviously they add a tremendous amount to the community. They are not drawing the resources, perhaps as a younger family would. So not only is their presence in town and what, as people, what they bring to the community, but frankly also the issue that, they're not drawing on those resources. So so we would like our seniors to stay in town. And if this is a little something extra we can do to keep them here, we're happy about that. So,
was there any estimates provided of how many citizens might qualify for this?
Well,
this was known.
There's known. I don't have the numbers before me. The town has a couple of different programs regarding our seniors and some tax relief,
like volunteering at town hall, that kind of thing.
Exactly. When you walk into town hall, you usually see someone, and those are other programs. The numbers of those who have applied to this program is rather low. And maybe, and I said, I don't want to misstate the numbers.
Okay.
I'm going to throw out there maybe a few hundred.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. If we move on to number 6, I think there is a number here. Under the most recent data, there were 415 filers in 2022 on page 20. Okay.
So I wasn't that far off.
No, you're right. It might be 140 to 200 people. All right. Number 6. Now we're talking about the school building committee and expanding the appointees.
Yes. So I'm sure many of you know there's been a lot of discussion about our schools and space needs. And obviously from previous town meetings, our discussions regarding the land swap and the potential construction of the new middle school here in the town. Initially, there's another project going on that we can mention later on that's concerning the Cunningham Collycott schools, but
it's Article 7.
Article 7. But for those who've been in the town for a while, we know that previously when we constructed our new schools, we were admitted into the state program, and we got a tremendous amount refunded back to the taxpayer.
90%, I think, it was the original allocation back then. Right?
Yeah, and it was simply incredible. Now we're not looking at that type of rebate this year, or in this article. However, the state does have the entity called the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA, and there's an eligibility program they have which gives the town the potential to receive grant funding for new schools. However, they, of course, being the state as we they have certain requirements they've set forward. Now, we've had a school building committee formed by town meeting for years now, researching various projects, additions, the new school itself.
I think I appointed all the original members, if I recall. So,
and you did.
In 2017, I think, yeah.
Correct. So in terms of the MSBA, however, has their own separate requirements.
Right.
And in order to come into compliance with the MSBA program, we need to add some people to this. So
looks like they're embedding expertise here, non-voting members, but people who come with a different deep skill that can add something to the building committee process, right?
Absolutely. And we have our superintendent, town administrator, director of consolidated facilities,
right,
principals, a local budget official. So, I mean, obviously, great ideas anyway. So we're asking town meeting to accept this article. I think admission, we're having an issue with our schools and space in the schools. And I think admittance into this program is the right move. If we can get any money back at any time, if we qualify, we should avail ourselves of that. And this is a step in that direction. So.
Okay. Well, speaking of schools and space, I remember when we were going through the discussion of the land swap, and people talked about school space, and someone brought up, we know there's a top floor of Cunningham, so this is now trying to go reclaim some of that space and make it usable, it seems.
Yes, and Bob, this was a very exciting article for the Warrant Committee to discuss with the school committee. In this article, as you know, the Cunningham Caldwell schools are connected. That was a result of our construction years and years ago. And that fourth floor on Cunningham, I think we can all see it with those massive windows up there. That, I believe, when I was a kid, used to be the Milton Arts Center.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I'm quite certain it was, but I think there was a lot of questions like, why do we have that unused space up there? So the school, one of the subcommittees from the school committee came forward and indicated that they were interested in doing this project. We had appropriated some funds last year in the amount of $2 million, which are still unspent, essentially, to look into this. And they had the members of the school committee and some of the newer members discussed with the new architect. They went up there, did an assessment of the entire space. The architect who presented to the Warrant Committee was very impressed. And they put together a wonderful design. And what we were hoping, what the project does entail is on that fourth floor would be a library, both for the Caldwell and Cunningham schools, which would really be a wide open, bright space. And below it, on the third floor, it would become classrooms and offices for some of the teachers and other staff in the school. So the Warrant Committee, this was not going to be in this warrant. When we discovered the work that the school committee was doing in terms of this project, there were a couple of members from the Warrant Committee school subcommittee who really urged the school committee and the superintendent to bring this forward for our consideration.
Why wait till May? Yeah.
Of course. And I think the importance of that is if this article is approved, and it is quite a bit of money. It's $3.5 million. This would be a total of $5.5 million. But I think what's important is that, or what the Warrant Committee believed was important, is that we're using existing space, and we're kind of using existing space. We're not building out
in a school
that we already own.
Right.
Unused space, and really it was the belief of the thought of many members of the Warrant Committee is a very prudent approach to addressing some of these school needs. And in the architect, in their presentation to us, really hit home the idea that this is a very conservative design, but conservative like in a very good way. They're reusing a lot of fixtures. They're going to make it a very clean space. Not a lot of bells and whistles, but it's going to be a really beautiful spot. And I think it's really just going to benefit the two largest elementary schools in the town.
And free up some more classrooms down below. Great.
Perfect, yes. And that library will be used by both schools, Caldwell and Cunningham. And it really is a beautiful space. Now, what's important is that this is not a project that's going to be operated by consolidated facilities will be doing this. So while we'll be appropriating 5.5 or asking town meeting to appropriate 5.5, that doesn't mean that's how much it has to cost.
Okay, you're creating the upper limit there.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think, the Warrant Committee, in discussing with all the interested parties in this project, we trust that, they're going to be working to kind of keep that number lower than that. But this is something that addresses school space needs now. And construction, if approved, we have been told could begin this summer. So this was a very exciting project. We understand it is quite a big ask, but we believe this is a very wise, sound investment for the town.
And is borrowing money on, so it's a debt.
It will be.
Taken on debt, okay.
Yes.
But not coming out of the operating budget, got it.
Yes, and that's a very important point to make clear.
Okay, very good. So that's what 7 and 8 together sounds like they create, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, very good. So 9, it looks like we've got a map here we've got to go put together. Is that right?
Yes.
And as I understand, someone referred to this as housekeeping.
Yes. So if you can, we have had the opportunity to comment on this. This was a previously approved zoning bylaw from town meeting that established a couple of mixed-use areas for the town, the unit development and the Brook Road Overlay District.
Right.
And essentially what we kind of learned after the fact was for the amendment to the bylaw to take effect, we need to lay that out in a map. And we didn't do that. That wasn't done at the last meeting when this was passed. So like you said, it's simply a housekeeping article. We're going to be submitting the map upon approval by town meeting, and this will allow the amendment to come into effect pursuant to state law.
Right. Now, printed in warrant, this is the first of the articles that has a comment that the warrant committee has not made a recommendation yet. Some of these things have come in late during the process here.
Yes.
So what's town meeting's plan, the warrant committee's plan to develop a recommendation?
Well, so Bob, right now what we're doing is, and there was a lot of work put in by the planning board on these, and that's the reason for the late submission.
Right.
These we're currently discussing these.
Okay.
Very recently, last week, we had a dual planning board warrant committee meeting where not only did we discuss the overlay district, the housekeeping matter, but we discussed some of the other planning articles and essentially went through them line by line with the planning board, and obviously made some recommendations to them, some Scrivener recommendations and some other more substantive recommendations for their approval, which they did approve.
Okay.
We are still in the process of working those through, and we have yet to take a vote. So upon taking a vote, we'll have a comment ready for the town meeting.
So you expect to have a recommendation by the 24th? Okay.
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay. So 10 is quite lengthy. It talks about site plan approvals. What's the reason for this article? And again, it's one of those others where there's no recommendation at this time, I think. Again, probably came in a little bit later than you had time to go address, right?
Yeah, so I think this is best laid out for members of town meeting and the public and the purpose of the law. The site plan approval goes hand in hand with our next article, which is the accessory dwelling unit article.
Okay.
And just to summarize this, this is this concerns not necessarily the structure itself, but what goes on around it. Traffic,
the aesthetics of the building.
Yeah, pedestrian safety, access,
parking requirements, all that stuff.
And as they would apply to commercial loading zones, impact, storage, other service. And I think the site plan approval, what the purpose of this is to, when you look at a neighborhood, make sure that any new construction or development kind of fits in. So it's not, fits into the surrounding other structures and just the character of the neighborhood.
Right. So you can publish out to a developer or someone who wants to construct a facility. Here are the guidelines you'll need to follow in Milton in order to ensure kind of a smooth approval. And the more you're within the guidelines, probably the smoother the approval.
Correct. And this lays it out. And I think what the planning board indicated to the warrant committee that this is important for we're seeing more and more development in the town, and this is very important because it really just sets the guardrails for developers and those who want to construct in the town. Like you have to stay within these parameters. So it gives anybody who's looking to to get a project approved. Just kind of lays out for them, gives them the check boxes that they need to follow.
Are there significant changes in 10? Because I'm sure we have site plan laws today.
In going through, in terms of this article, significant changes?
Yeah.
No, not from our perspective. This was a lot of work done by the planning board on this. We did have some preliminary comments for them to consider in this itself.
For example, is this all new bylaw, or is this a refresh to existing?
Oh, this is a refresh.
A refresh. That was my question.
And I'm sorry, and that's Chapter 275 of the general bylaws that we're looking to simply amend.
Got it. And so perhaps in the recommendation we'll understand what the amendments they're really calling out were, with some kind of track changes or something, so people can understand.
Yes, okay. and I so look forward to, I think, in this article and potentially the next, a lengthy warrant committee comment for town meeting's consideration.
Very good. Okay, and you said this goes hand in hand with 11, the new accessory dwelling units. I understand the state has passed legislation that authorizes this by right now, and so this is the town's now coming into compliance with that. Is that the gist of this?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And I know, from town meeting members from years past, this was something that's come up from time to time, accessory dwelling units.
Right.
And now our current governor signed this into law. So this is something, like you said, as of right. And what we did, the planning board did here is kind of set forward, what an ADU is and the requirements, the conditions and requirements, design standards, the process, the procedures, the authority of the planning board to make that determination, is an ADU compliant with this section.
So if the site plan or the overall guidelines, this is now like a narrower site plan for ADUs in particular.
Correct. I kind of look at it as like, the bird's eye view, and this is the inside view.
Understood. Mm-hmm. Understood. Okay. And once again, no recommendation when this was printed. What's the status of the warrant committee working through this one in time for town meeting?
So again, like the articles before, we did sit down with the dual meeting with the planning board. Again, went through this bylaw line by line, discussed each of the sections with them. This, like the site plan, will be a lengthy comment. Mm-hmm. There were some changes. In terms of this now, and if people want to tune in this week, we're going to be meeting with town council, and there were a couple of specific questions as to certain language that we've used in this, and does it comply with the state law?
Got it.
So now the state law allows towns and municipalities, towns and cities to work with this and kind of change the requirements to a degree. Mm-hmm. This must be approved by the Attorney General's office after we vote at town meeting.
Right, to make sure it's in compliance with the overall state laws. Right?
Correct, and what we've done at the Warrant Committee is we've had that state law, and we've gone through it just to check and attempt to make sure that we don't want this coming back from the AGs.
Yeah,
it is clean, yes.
Got it, okay. All right. Article 12, dark sky. There's been an increasing amount of writing going on now about the importance of dark sky, both for human, enjoyment, but also to avoid interfering with bird migration and natural wildlife. So what's the point of this here for Milton? Well,
we've been discussing this now for the past couple of weeks, and this is going to the best way to describe it. It's going to just place requirements on any outdoor lighting within the town, and that's not only residences, but also commercial properties. Okay. And obviously, as you see, it's a lengthy article, defines several terms, but it's really, I guess, lack of a better word, in the main provisions, it's set forth what kind of lights you can have, what kind of lights you can't have. Sports lighting, curfew for lights for commercial uses, spectrum management, which is a new term that we became familiar with at the Warrant Committee, shielding of lights, do lights shine down or do lights shine up? Right. And I think it speaks for itself when you think of dark sky, right? The purpose of this is to be able to see the stars the best we can. And it it's going to require potentially not only just commercial buildings within town, but maybe residents to make slight adjustments in their lighting that they have currently now.
So what if people, I did read something about grandfathering. What if you have existing lighting that might be at variance with this?
If you have existing lighting, you're grandfathered in.
Okay.
Okay. However, but there also is a provision in this if you want to, if you need lighting outside this, you can get a special outdoor lighting permit.
Okay. And then new lighting would have to then comply with this. I see.
Correct.
Okay. So you don't have to go change everything when this passes? No.
No, not at all. Not at all. So it was a very interesting article. Like we had a very good discussion about it the other night. I think hopefully we're going to discuss it more and put together a comment and hopefully have that done by next week.
Very good. And its relative here is on lighting trespass, which I had not heard of before. So how does this one, what's this one about?
Well, so a light trespass, I like to think of it as just a human trespass.
It's not tiptoeing on the yard. This is a different kind of light.
Exactly. This is for when light travels from one property to another.
I see. Okay.
So I guess the best way to describe it is your neighbor has floodlights on his garage.
Right.
And they shine directly into your kitchen or your bedroom.
I see.
That's really a light trespass. So it's like, like walking on property that you're not supposed to be. You're trespassing physically as a human, but this is the light doing that now and going beyond. And as this is set forward, this is a general bylaw. So this has been submitted by the select board. So it falls under the general bylaws. And the select board is taking authority or asking the town meeting to approve their authority to determine what is a light trespass and what isn't.
As opposed to Board of Appeals, for example, is interesting.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is a new role for the select board, and the article sets forward the enforcement, how to address violations, any relief, penalties, etc. So, like I said, we are in the midst of going through this and discussing it. There's a monetary penalty after a warning. So, it definitely is something new. And I think in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be really digging down on this one. And we're going to be putting together a comment for town meeting. Definitely new for us, too. So this is certainly, I'd like to say, this is not the first time this has been proposed. I'm not saying before town meeting, but there has been talk as far back as 2015 of a lighting type bylaw similar to this. And I believe the last one that I recall was submitted by the planning board, or the planning board was talking about this some time ago. So this really isn't anything new, but now we finally have something that's in an article form for town meeting to consider. So.
I mean, are the select board going to go out and inspect lighting themselves, or are they going to designate someone to be their lighting inspector?
I think that's what the Warrant Committee is going to try to find out, how
Okay.
this process will work. The select board will be the sole determiner of what constitutes a light trespass and what does not.
Okay.
So, I would assume that, and don't want to make assumptions, but I assume there will be a process put in place by the board.
Understood.
To address these on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. So that's the end of those that have been submitted by the town departments. Now we have 2 citizen petitions on 14 and 15. These also came in, sounds like without sufficient time, by printing for the Warrant Committee to address. So what are these 2 about?
So Article 14 is a citizen's petition to amend the appropriations voted at the 2024 town meeting. And that was the period beginning in July of 2024. And that essentially is asking, this article is asking town meeting to change the current fiscal year appropriation for the law and professional services line item from $283,000. They're asking town meeting to adjust and remove $250,000 from that fund to revise the fiscal year 2025 appropriation at $33,000.
Okay.
And that was a citizen's petition. Well over 100 people in the town signed it. There are, 10 signatories listed in the warrant. This is something that we've discussed on one previous date at the Warrant Committee, and are going to continue our discussions about it in the next 2 weeks.
Do you know at this point, as we sit here on February 11th, how much has been spent against this line item?
I think in our conversations with the town administrator, I believe we are already beyond the fiscal year appropriation at this point.
We've already spent the 283.
Not the 283, but I think that in terms of the revised appropriation, we've
Beyond
gone
the 33, I see.
We've already gone over the 33,000.
Got it.
What's important to know is that the town, not through any fault of his own, but is involved in several lawsuits, the planning board. We are in active litigation in some of these other matters. So if this were to be approved, obviously we have to pay our law bills.
Right.
So this would have to be a special appropriation granted by the Warrant Committee to utilize reserve funds to pay the bills. So,
Understood. Okay.
but we're talking about this now, and
Okay.
we'll have a good comment for the town meeting to consider.
All right. And 15 looks like asking the planning board to prepare a plan that's going to put us in compliance with the MBTA zoning law.
Yes, and sure, many people through our own discussions in the town, and obviously what we see on the state level, the MBTA Communities Act, and to increase housing in the town, allow multifamily permitted by right. So this is essentially asking the planning board to put forward a 2,500 unit proposal, as was initially proposed at the last year's town meeting,
Right.
which was then reversed by the petition vote pursuant to the town charter to
Right.
overturn town meeting's decision.
Right.
So this is really asking, telling the planning board, get that plan in place, pass it, and present it for our approval. So this is just trying to kind of push that a little bit. I don't really know. This hasn't come before the Warrant Committee at this time. What a plan from the planning board would look like at this time. That would be the 2,500 unit plan. Would it be different from the one previously submitted, or would it be a new one? We don't know. So,
Okay.
But this is really a procedural ask, I think, of the citizens to comport with the law as it now stands.
Right. This guy, I'm a member of the Mass Moderators Association, and this kind of thing comes up in towns across the Commonwealth. And although town meeting as an elected body can't compel another elected body to do something, it can serve as a sense of the town, so to speak, in order to have the citizens express to the other elected board what they're thinking.
Yeah,
And I think that may be the point of the citizens here. Right.
yeah, absolutely. And there was some discussion, up to this point at the Warrant Committee, regarding the townwide referendum, the town meeting vote, the planning board's position. So there's
Right.
a lot of different balls in the air, so to speak. So that's kind of what we're working through right now and preparing our comment.
How many meetings do you have to go before we get to town meeting at the Warrant Committee?
Bob, I would trust that we'll be meeting at least 2 more times this week.
Well,
And probably based upon those meetings, I trust maybe another couple of meetings the week of school vacation, Monday, Wednesday, and perhaps into Thursday if we haven't finished our business.
so we'll modify that phrase. Instead of no rest for the wicked, it's no rest for the warrant here. That's
Absolutely.
very good. Okay. Well, Tom Caldwell, thank you very much for coming in. And as a reminder, we're going to be present at the high school on Monday, Feb 24 at 7:30. And one change, usually if we have overflow, we skip Tuesday and hop to the following Wednesday. However, and often to the following Thursday. However, since the high school is not available on Thursday, the overflows are the 3 days in a row, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, I would hope with 15 articles, we won't need a Wednesday, and I will cross my fingers that we might not even need a Tuesday. So if we do have overflow, it would be on Tuesday, the 25th. So with that, I'm Bob Hiss, your town moderator. Thanks for tuning in. And at least you will see me and Tom. We may not see you if you're on cable access on Feb 24. Thanks very much.
Thank you.